Are you ready?
Agility from the champion. Oh, deep six! That could be a delivered this deep
six. This is episode 113. We are live. This is immediately following Monday Night Raw. I am joined today by the returning Brandon, aka Bash. How you doing, man?
Doing good, Wayne. How you doing tonight?
Good, good. This has been a crazy weekend. We had WWE King and Queen of the Ring on Saturday. We had All Out, which was too freaking long last night, from 7 till 12:30 at night.
Wow.
And unbelievable. We have Monday Night Raw tonight. Not to mention honorable mention to Friday Night SmackDown on Friday. Then we had TNA the day before that. Then we had Dynamite. It's just wrestling every day. It's just wrestling every day these days. What a time to be a wrestling fan.
I don't know. I was going to say, I don't know if that's a complaint or if you're a wrestling fan, if you like watching all of them. So
my only complaint is I don't have time to watch all of them.
Staying up for 5.5 hours. That's a little long for a WrestleMania for a wrestling event, but that's long for WrestleMania, let alone a random wrestling event.
AEW pay-per-view was too long last night, but what are you gonna do? So some quick news and notes. WrestleMania, SummerSlam 2026 announced for Minnesota 2 years from now. What happened to next year? We don't even know. What's a year out? A year and 4 months away, 16 months away. So we know what's going to be 2 years from now, but how about next year? So this event, which is given to Minnesota, should be 2 nights back-to-back in Minnesota in 2026. In my opinion, it's a consolation prize of WWE and Minnesota City, Minneapolis, not being able to get a deal going. I still don't know why that didn't go through. I know they were pushing for Las Vegas as well, which in my opinion would be the better landing spot for WrestleMania anyway. You don't even have to go to Minnesota to realize that, Las Vegas is going to be the better spot. We'll have some quick thoughts on that a little later. But anyhow, we're going to jump into Monday Night Raw post-review, and we are coming in hot. So for those of you guys that are watching, please stick with us. We are going to come in hot talking about the main event. So couple things going on here. This was a rematch from Saturday's King and Queen of the Ring tournament, the championship match. Becky was defending against Liv Morgan, and Liv won in a controversial way. Becky invoking her rematch clause, which she got tonight. The writing was on the wall that Becky, in my opinion, that Becky was not going to win tonight. As we know, Becky Lynch's contract is up June 1st. There may have not been talks yet, but the contract runs out June 1st. She's currently not signed. As of this moment, there's no deal yet. This very well could be her last match for quite a while. No further news that I have at the moment. But let's jump into the match. What did you think of the match tonight?
Definitely a little quick. I do understand what they wanted to accomplish, but a 12-minute match to set up a steel cage never makes. I feel like you at least got to get a 15. I understand they just had a pay-per-view event, so they did have a little bit of a longer match then, but very surprising to have a 12-minute match in the cage. However, I think that it did its role and it set up other storylines, and that is ultimately the goal of the main event, is to set up storylines later on.
Yeah, it definitely progressed the storyline. That's for absolute sure.
At least two or three.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There were a couple different elements going on here in the closing part of the night. So we see Liv Morgan defending her title against Becky Lynch in the steel cage. A little bit of a back and forth match. This match doesn't really start picking up steam until we come back from the commercial break around 10:53. Liv had a really good move. She had the code breaker that she did off the top rope onto Becky. So that was a nice move. Liv Morgan's definitely been improving, no doubt about it. She's been improving on her mic. Dominic opens the cage door. So we get that. He comes running in. We had a sense that this was going to happen. Opens the cage door, begging Becky to get out of the cage. His intention is to help Becky and have Becky get her title back and not to be on Liv Morgan because of the feud that's going on between Liv and Rhea, with Liv that took out Rhea about a month ago now. Which I believe, in my opinion, this is setting up for Liv versus Rhea Ripley at WWE SummerSlam. Anyhow, moving on, Dominic opens the cage door, begging for Becky to get out, and then Judgment Day comes out to stop Dominic. So we see that happening. But then Braun Strowman music hits. We see Braun coming out, and I think I'm gonna start to like this. Like, give me a couple weeks of Braun Strowman chasing JD McDonough.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a couple weeks of that. He realizes JD's in the arena with out there, and Braun then comes out to ringside after he realizes that JD's out there with Judgment Day. We see what happens is, as Braun is chasing JD McDonough around the ring, which I thought was hilarious, Braun barrels over Dominic. Dominic is then thrusted into the cage door that is already opened. The cage door slams shut with Becky Lynch's head already there, as Becky was trying to make her way out or in that direction. Becky's knocked out, and we see Liv Morgan wins by escaping the cage. So she wins by in another controversial manner, not a straight up one-on-one match, which maybe they can revisit this, but maybe not. Who knows? So we have a couple things going on here. Now, from my perspective, we saw Raw go off the air with Dominic giving Liv Morgan a nasty look. That's all we saw until we saw this. Let's see, is that clear?
I think you got it. There you go. Now you can tell what they're doing.
This we did not see.
Well, I didn't catch that either.
Streaming. We did not see that at all. It cut off. So when you brought it up off the air before we came on, like, that was a surprise. I'm like, no, your buddy's gotta be lying. Like, no, I can't, because I saw it go off the air. Like, the red thing went on, the Raw emblem, and then it cut out to the next program, which was weird. So maybe cable gave a little more time. Maybe your buddy just happens to saw it online. Maybe the streaming services cut out a little early. But when we saw Dominic, Liv basically forced herself onto Dominic with the kiss. And Dominic didn't give much of a reaction. It was more of like a negative one. But so this changes a lot of things here.
Absolutely.
You want to take it from here?
I mean, like I said, when he texted me and we were talking about it prior to the show, we both thought it was a joke. But as soon as he wouldn't joke with me like that, so I was definitely surprised, and I'm glad we were able to pull it up because social media is great. But like you said, it changes a whole dynamic of, was Dominic the one chasing Liv? Was Liv finally showing that Dominic was being dirty on the side and entertaining Liv? Was it just something to get under Rhea's skin? Is it something to show that Judgment Day is completely broken now, and who knows what is going to happen? It's crazy, the dynamic change that happens from a kiss. So a little snap of the fingers, and for people that were watching differently, you and I both didn't see that. We would have seen it the next day. If you don't have X or you're not on these chats, you'll never see it. If you don't have Instagram, I mean, I bet they're going to post it pretty soon. You might not have seen it. So definitely going to change a very big dynamic here.
Sorry. The way this went off the air for streaming services tonight, we would have never even known that this happened.
Yeah, especially if it would have been years back. You wouldn't have never known.
Clearly, they're building towards Rhea coming back. Mm-hmm. I have her coming back sometime between close to SummerSlam and Survivor Series. But I suspect maybe SummerSlam, because that gives about another solid 2 months. I don't think Rhea's injury was significant enough for her to be out 6 months or more. I was leaning more towards the 4 or 5 month spectrum, so I can probably see her coming back around SummerSlam, between SummerSlam and Survivor Series, but I'm thinking more towards the earlier part. So, I'm wondering if maybe we get a callback from like 2005 with custody of Dominic on the line.
That would be hysterical.
The internet is so wild.
The fact they have the picture of him as a kid that would be great.
But I gotta put that up again for those of you guys that are watching. Oh man. Okay, let me see. Here we go. There we go.
The bleach blonde Dominic. Oh gosh.
I mean, this time we'll see like Dominic hanging from the pole by his feet.
Mm-hmm. Now the only thing is here, if Liv still has the title at that time, we would see Liv versus Nia Jax at SummerSlam, which would make more sense, and then give her a little bit of time. We see Nia Jax do what Roman did and come out of nowhere at SummerSlam to fight both Nia Jax and Liv Morgan, and then go from there. And the next pay-per-view after that, we have Rhea versus Liv. Well, that would be my best opinion.
Nia's in SmackDown, so
I always forget. I keep forgetting that they changed that.
But who else would you put there in that position? I mean, Becky doesn't have a contract now. She's as of now, she's done for a while.
Who else could sit? I mean, what other women are? I feel like they're trying to push Valkyria. So
yes. Oh, okay. Good call. They're
trying to push her, so maybe by that time, and then you do have Rhea come out.
I think because he did plant the seeds of Lyra Valkyria like a week ago or so. So I think that could very well happen. I can't think of anybody else now. I'd have to see the whole Raw Women's roster in my face to really determine that.
I just messed it up real quick, and it took 30 seconds. So, but I'm trying to think who. Yeah, no, that seems like that's probably the next push that they're going to try to get.
I would say so. I would absolutely say so. I guess it's one of those things we're gonna have to wait till like next week. See how. I think next week focus is gonna be more on what happened between Liv and Dominic in Judgment Day. It's gonna be more focused on that, less on worrying about Liv's next opponent. But I still think it could be Lyra for sure. I can't think of anybody else right now, unless maybe they build like a number one contenders type of thing for the women.
They'd probably have to. Maybe.
But I think they go Lyra, though.
Maybe with Judgment. It would take a little bit of time, and it's going to take time, but there is a way to get Selena back into the picture by having Ray and Carlito that already fought get back into the mix, and then have Dominic versus Ray back into the mix. Like, there's a lot of things that can happen there. So maybe get Selena versus Liv and have a Judgment Day type of dance, but that's really about it. Yeah,
for sure. We'll have to look more into that. I really got to see that roster, but I mean, those would be excellent opponents for sure. I mean, from a wrestling standpoint, Zelina Vega is a great hand. So you could definitely pull. They can definitely pull great matches out of each other, for sure. And then we got Lyra Valkyria that building up to. And I think we touched on it the last time. Like Lyra Valkyria, she has it. I just need to see a little bit more of the character development part. and then we're off to the races. Like, she can go in the ring.
Mhm.
In my opinion, I think she's the best female. I think arguably the best female wrestler on the roster right now.
I still see, like you like to say, the green areas in her, maybe more on the mic, and they're giving her mic time in the
Yes.
ring, especially with the Queen of the Ring advancing each time they were doing interviews. So that's where I think like the biggest thing, they're trying to get her on the mic a little bit more and get her working, which is good. But that's where, like you said, I'm seeing those issues more than in the ring. And it's not a big issue.
No, for sure. I mean, I'm thinking that, you're absolutely right. She was a little bit green last Monday. So that was kind of, that was a little exposed there. But from a wrestling standpoint, like, she has it, no doubt about it. She can go.
Oh, 100%. And I like a lot of the women are trying to get flying around a little bit more. And I appreciate that. And she's one of them that likes to go off the ropes. Obviously, you have Sky doing that. You have, all of Damage Control likes that flying around the ring type move set. So I like that they're adding a little bit more to that versus a wrestling standpoint. She brings both wrestling and moving across the ring at, I'd say, confidently. That's probably that's probably the biggest word I'd say. She moves confidently for somebody that's just getting into the WWE big stage.
Absolutely. So we're going to swing back to the main event in just a short bit. But there were like a lot of crossover things going on. I mean, with Damian Priest tonight, with Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, like we talked about just 2 minutes ago, like there were a couple crossover things going on. It wasn't just like Becky and Liv. There were other dynamics like Braun chasing JD around. And then we saw a bunch of there was layered storytelling tonight, especially within like the Judgment Day and stuff. So it was just good. Like, this was a good show.
Mm-hmm.
But Drew McIntyre comes out tonight and says he's been the best part of Punk's return. Nice little bold statement by him. Like, Drew's basically been carrying this whole, for the most part, it's been carrying about 60 to 75% of this CM Punk Drew rivalry, which I believe, in my opinion, we're going to get at SummerSlam, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. But again, TBD. But that's just my opinion. I think Punk could be ready by then. Also says he does realize he will be, Drew's saying he realizes he's going to be the champion in 3 weeks. So this is in his face-to-face conversation with Drew McIntyre that you see right behind me right now. So that's happening in the ring as we happen to be talking about it. Gunther's out there. You see Damian and Priest and Gunther start the show with a little bit of banter back and forth. But Drew McIntyre basically accusing Priest of overlooking Damian Priest. So they're setting Damian Priest up for a pretty decent summer here, I must say. It was announced that Damian Priest is going to be going against Drew McIntyre, which has been talked about for a few months now, or at least has been talked about that Drew McIntyre would be getting his next shot in Scotland the moment that was announced, Clash the Castle. But do we have any early prediction as far as Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest goes for Clash of the Castle?
I think a lot of runarounds. I think that we see, obviously, the Judgment Day get involved. Not too many people really back Drew. Unfortunately, we might see a CM Punk pop in, which makes no sense because it's already going to be 4 against 1 in there. So that's going to be a whole nother thing. But I don't know who can really travel. So getting out to Scotland's going to be tough. I think the crowd is going to be very big into it for the first few minutes. And from then on, I think it's going to be Judgment Day takeover. And Priest wins, but the Judgment Day something happens where somebody hits Priest. Probably JD because JD's a screw up. But yeah.
That's great. So yeah, that's happening in Scotland. Gunther versus Priest. I thought about it the other day. As we all know, Gunther is the King of the Ring winner this year, and I thought about it, and I'm thinking about the matchup in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too sure how the chemistry will be between these guys. I don't know. Like,
I think the wrestling technique will be there. I think that the wrestling.
I have to see the story unfold.
Yeah,
I need to see the story cook. To be honest with you,
but they're both big guys. They both have size. They have power. So it'll at least be an epic showing of strength. But I think that they'll move halfway decently. They've been in the WWE for a long time. So
assuming it's Gunther versus Damian Priest.
Yeah, that is true. They could move. They could move off of Damian and give it back to Drew pretty quickly.
Well, no, here's the thing. I don't see Gunther winning this title at SummerSlam.
Really?
I don't see it. If they go the way that I think they're going to go, and you can ask anybody that's been watching this podcast for the last 9 to 12 months, I've been telling everybody Cody's going to be Roman, and then Cody's going to lose it the year later to Gunther at WrestleMania 41, which would require Gunther to win the Royal Rumble and go on to, because Gunther has been knocking on the door for the last 2 years and has been at least in the Final Four or Final Two with Cody Rhodes. That's no coincidence. Anyhow, I see Gunther finally winning it next year after knocking on the door for the last 2 years. I see Gunther winning it, the Royal Rumble, and then he's going to choose Cody. I think we're going to go that. I think we're going to go that route.
Not a bad move.
Drew, at some point, I don't know what the world title dynamic is going to look like after SummerSlam. I just don't think Gunther's going to be a part of it. I think he's going to be part of the WWE program, that title program with Cody eventually. This is just something for him to do. I have Punk and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania next year. By the time a lot can happen with the world title scene between now and next year. You could have LA Knight as the Money in the Bank winner. You'll still have Drew in the mix. So I don't see Damian Priest carrying it all the way to next year for sure. But I do see him having at least a 5-month run of WrestleMania to SummerSlam. But if it's Priest Gunther, I see Damian Priest probably going to Survivor Series with this thing for sure. I just don't see him going all the way to Mania with it.
Honestly, I agree with every point that you made.
And Damian Priest is actually, as world champ, is kind of growing on me too.
I think that after tonight, he showed dominance. He obviously showed that he was upset that the Judgment Day can't handle their own business. And he finally said, you know what? I'm handling business. And he came out on top tonight as a clear-ish leader. So I think that was very bold of him to assume that role, but as a champion, that's the role that he should assume. So I do like the development there.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that really quick. Carlito versus Rey Mysterio. Damian Priest took care of business for Judgment Day tonight by taking out Rey Mysterio because Judgment Day could, with the interference of Finn Balor, JD, and all of them, Finn Balor taking out Dragon Lee, they could not get the job done with their out. So you see Damian Priest come out and he showed his dominance and he did the Razor's Edge, which I thought was pretty cool. Otherwise, not a whole lot to talk about between Carlito and Rey, but that segment accomplished the fact that established Damian Priest right there. That was a really good segment for Damian Priest that we needed from him. his talking skills showed signs of improvement tonight too as well, so I was pretty impressed with that. Braun versus Damian Priest. Braun won with the tilt-a-whirl slam. Judgment Day tries to interfere, but to no avail, fails, which led up to later on with Damian Priest, taking matters into his own hand. Braun clears Judgment Day out of the ring, gets hit by JD McDonough by a chair, but it doesn't phase Braun Strowman by any means. So I thought it was funny. And Judgment Day, JD, and Finn Balor go running away. Love that. Like I said earlier, give me Braun chasing JD McDonough for the next couple of weeks. That I can't. I'm liking this. They're using Braun the right day. Ricochet versus Ilya tonight. What did you think of this match?
That one, I've been saying, give me more technical wrestling while also giving me flying around the ring, and that's that personified. Both those guys are proving why mid-card wrestling is important in WWE. Because I would love to see either of those guys get title opportunities in the next year, but I understand the growth that they would have to show to get into that picture. But both of them are just great in-ring competitors, and I love seeing wrestling being portrayed in world wrestling entertainment.
Absolutely. We see Ricochet favored his ribs tonight due to an injury from Braun Breaker spearing Ricochet backstage last week, and there was a little bit of a rift between Adam Pearce and Ilya Dragunov and Ricochet earlier today, and Ricochet insisted that he wanted to face Ilya tonight. Adam Pearce made it happen. So Ricochet was favoring his ribs. Back and forth match. The fans were very much into Ilya. He hit his Constantine special, was a good spot that Ricochet kicked out of. We saw Ricochet super kick Ilya when Ilya went for the H-bomb. Ricochet hit the recoil on Ilya, but Ilya kicked out. But the match ends when Braun Breaker interferes and spears Ricochet for a second week in a row in the ring. According to the commentators, Braun Breaker was not even supposed to be there tonight as he was suspended. He took out Ilya too. Then you see Adam Pearce come running out and yelling at Braun Breaker, which continued backstage after that. So we'll see. I kind of like what they're doing with Braun Breaker. I'm curious as to seeing where we're going with that.
I'm always upset. I remember a little bit talking about almost that how they did that for a while. And I don't like that he acknowledged it, but I do like that he acknowledged it. He, in his first match, was up against a local hero, or it's not. I hate when they put him or put guys like that against these jobbers that are there one time in their WWE career to get mangled by a strong guy. It doesn't prove anything. Yes, Braun Breaker looked amazing and strong, but we knew this already. Him going up against a jobber doesn't prove anything. Him reacting the way that he did, of saying first they don't put me in the King of the Ring tournament, now this, I'm like, you're not supposed to acknowledge that a guy's a jobber. That's not, that wasn't right, in my opinion. So I don't know exactly where they go with him here. Obviously, he's supposed to be suspended if he keeps showing up. I don't know what they do with him other than obviously put him up against Ricochet. I'm glad that Ilya stood up for Ricochet in that moment and at least tried to gain some respect, but I just think I'm very iffy about what they're doing with Braun for the simple fact that there's no reason to give him a jobber, but I understand that making him upset.
Yes, for sure. We'll cut to the chase with Braun Breaker. He let's just be real. He's going to be the biggest superstar WWE has throughout the WrestleMania 40s as the WrestleMania 40s ever progresses going into 50. That's the spoiler alert. As long as Braun Breaker keeps out of trouble and does his thing, He's going to be the biggest superstar there. Kind of a passing of the torch, so to speak, with Roman and Cody to Braun Breaker is definitely going to happen over the next couple of years. We're not there yet. We're not there soon. We're probably there around 43, 44, maybe 45 at the latest, as him being the main guy. But in the meantime, they're building him up. I'm curious to how we're getting there, which is kind of the intriguing part. Sometimes commentators can blow up their own spot a little bit, but they made Pat McAfee and all that, and they may have kind of said too much off the cusp, but I get what WWE is trying to do. The enhancement talent route, just kind of build them up. I'm telling you right now, eventually we're going to see Braun Breaker versus Braun Strowman. That's happening. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens within the year. But I think that's happening at some point, because eventually they're going to build up to him. They're going to build up to the bigger guys and Braun. Braun Strowman's going to be the guy that really enhances Braun Breaker. As far as like Braun Breaker's power moves and stuff like that. Braun's going to be the guy that's going to help Braun Breaker help get more over. I think they're going to build to that eventually. Right now, they're kind of keeping the two apart, but I could definitely see that happening.
I wonder if we see the Steiners in the next couple of years. I would love to see them. Yeah.
To kind of. I mean, we'll see them. I don't know what capacity, but we'll definitely see them for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if Braun Breaker's in a big match. Absolutely. AOP wins. Nothing to talk about here, really. But AOP wins by distraction with Scarlett taking out Ivy Nile. AOP hits their finisher, which commentators told us, which is now called What a Rush, named by Paul Ellering. That move was hit on Julius Creed and gets the win. Julius Creed, he's another guy that is going to be a big deal in the WrestleMania 40s era, more towards the latter part. And the guy can go.
Mm-hmm.
His in-ring talent is unbelievable. But for the next couple of years, the Creeds are going to be like the top tag team. More character developments needed on both fronts, both Creed brothers. But what did you think of this before we move on?
I don't like Karrion Kross. No, I hate to say it every time I'm on the show.
His little gimmick is the pot stir, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
He's just, his shtick right now is just stirring a pot backstage. I kind of like that.
They had that video of them at the ice cream, truck and everything with New Day and trying to break up New Day, which, like you said, he's a pot stirrer, but a lot of people that he's attacked have changed their ways in more than one. So going up against him, he does change chemistry in your own brain, which is kind of what he's pitched himself at, is the end of yourself. Now it's the end is near. I think AOP doesn't need to develop anything, but they were also let go of by the WWE for not developing anything. So I don't know if the muscle is just going to keep them around, but if they're able to keep the story of Paul Ellering and this whole, what is the name of the group? I'm so sorry.
What is the pain? Final Testament.
Final Testament. Yes. If they're able to keep that all going and just have them as muscle, it's fine. But AOP is not going to develop into anything other than that. So,
well, you know what? Keep featuring Author of Pain on Raw and keep giving them some wins.
Yeah.
Just build some momentum there. There's different ways you can get this tag team over. They're going to need to keep both Paul Ellering and or Karrion Kross as the mouthpiece for them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the presentation. They can't lose Paul or Karrion. That makes that presentation there. Without a good mouthpiece there, Authors of Pain, I don't know, but they can work. They're big. They're believable. So just keep getting them out there as a heel tag team and get some wins. Wins make it go a long way for sure. And that was the problem on Vince McMahon era. He never put momentum behind stars, especially the ones that he didn't like.
No, 100%. Yeah, he never really pushed. Like you said, he was never really a big guy to push people and give them time on the mic. It was just a win, 5-minute match, and then on to the next. But my question was, this was before me. Animal and Hawk, the Road Warriors. That was What a Rush, right? Did Paul Ellering, were they connected, or am I?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I thought. So it is an ode to them. Okay.
Yes.
It was way. I don't want to say it. No, it definitely was way before my time. They probably. I think I was born when they were just about around. So
It wasn't
watching videos.
It wasn't way before my time, but it was definitely before my time of watching.
Okay.
So LOD was like 91, 92. I came in around 93, so I had just missed LOD. So going back to all the prior stuff to catch up, so that's how I'm very familiar with it. But I wasn't watching live at the time.
Gotcha.
We see Kaiser attack Sheamus backstage and they brawl into the arena, so it looks like we're gonna get a nice little one-on-one match there. Possibly they're building Sheamus to, for Gunther again. Maybe they're building up Kaiser as a single star. I'm not too sure what the end game is with this here, but I like it, and I know it's going to be a good match when the two go one-on-one.
Sometimes you just need a rivalry, and like you said, I said it. I can't remember which show it was back a little bit, but I always said that vignettes mean stuff to me, and that's where Bronson Reed is now getting a little bit of a push. He was in the IC picture and everything like that, just had a match. I remember a vignette of him about 6 months ago, and now they show the growth. Ilya got one about 9 months ago, and they didn't do anything with him. I remember it was right around September, October time. So the fact that he didn't really get a solo push, and now it's him and Gunther versus Imperium. Well, they still call it Imperium, but now obviously Vinci's gone and we haven't seen anything of him. I don't know if I think a singles push works, but I think it's more of two dynamic guys in the ring that are together as Imperium. So I don't know exactly of a singles push, but I think allowing Ludwig to handle his own business is also a great move as well and turn him into a winner and have a winning group.
Absolutely. So that remains to be seen what they do with Kaiser. I mean, I also kind of thought that maybe they'll go the direction of Ilya joining Kaiser. But we'll have to see there. But I'm excited for that match when they do that. For those of you guys that are watching, just help us out. Just give us a like. Feel free to join in the conversation. We want to hear what you guys want to say. What do you guys think about Raw? So tell us what you guys thought about Raw. Just drop us some comments and feel free to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Anyway, let's move on. We look forward to those comments. Lyra Valkyrie versus Kairi Sane. We won't spend much time here. Lyra Valkyrie looked very good in the ring tonight. I was very impressed with her in-ring action. They're trying to build her up as a face. She was favoring the ribs from the Annihilator that she took from Nia Jax at the Queen of the Ring. I'm not mad at Nia Jax winning Queen of the Ring, by the way. She's done a really good job, and I know she's not everybody's cup of tea, and I get that. I understand that, but she's been much safer in the ring. She's playing to her strengths. She's believable as far as her size goes and her dominance. She towers over all these ladies. So I'm not mad at Nia Jax winning here. I thought it was great how she got all emotional and then she quickly turned that off and went back into heel mode and during her interview, which I thought was fantastic. So good work on Nia Jax's part. But Lyra Valkyrie, her in-ring has been phenomenal. We talked about it earlier. Good back and forth match between Lyra and Kairi Sane. We see Kairi Sane with the insane elbow, but Lyra Valkyrie gets her feet up, blocking the elbow, and then rolls Kairi Sane up for the win. The expected outcome. So I guess maybe they're going for the sympathy route, kind of like overcomer route with storyline with Lyra Valkyrie, as which was displayed in her interview last week during her post match on Raw. But very good. I'm a huge fan of Lyra, especially for her in-ring work. But like I said before, we just need to see. I want to see more character development out of her, and then more mic work for sure.
Yeah, I think that her getting that push from Becky Lynch is going to help a lot. I remember we had said 2 weeks ago that the crowd is really into her already. Today was in Georgia was a much smaller crowd, so you didn't really hear, at least in my opinion, I didn't hear much of the crowd. But regardless, like you said, if she can, if she already has the crowd behind her, if she can just get that personality, which I think she has, it's kind of that not really dark figure, but see, that's the thing. She's being cheered, but then also has a dark figure. So it's tough. It's definitely, like you said, if she's able to keep that push and grow on the mic, who knows where she could go.
Other than Lyra being a great wrestler, I need to know more of a reason why I'm cheering for her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a great wrestler, absolutely. She's got a great look, but I just need more of her. Like I need to know the reason why. Like I'm getting behind her. So I'm not too sure if I even fully know that yet, to be honest. But
sometimes the wrestler is all you need. Sometimes being a good wrestler, you can get behind her by, I like watching her in the ring for 10, 15 minutes at a time.
For sure. But the thing with Lyra Valkyrie and some of these stars, like with these stars, they should all should be built in a way where that you'll remember them 10 or 20 years from now because of their identity, their gimmick, their catchphrases. There should always be something memorable about each star, and that's how they got it going. Other than their in-ring action, like you want to be able to, remember things like the Indian running around the ring or the garbage man. And I know those gimmicks are far gone, but what I'm getting at is like late 90s WCW kind of killed it by bringing in like real, making more realism to their characters. But a lot of these guys had like no identity. So I think that's kind of like a lost art is character building gimmicks. Like I need to know why I'm rooting for. How am I going to remember this wrestler for 10 years from now?
I like where you're coming from there.
Yeah. Like, why do I need to get behind Bronson Reed? Okay, he's a big guy. He's dominant, but what's his story?
Yeah.
So that's what I need to know more of. And I would imagine that I would hope that as, Triple H era continues, that'll change. So, I mean, let's just say the storytelling has been a lot better than the Vince McMahon era, for sure. No doubt about it. So we got that down pat. Otis versus Bronson Reed. Otis gets distracted by Gable. Gable's on the apron telling Otis not to do the worm that he loves to do. Bronson awaits with a kick to the face, to Otis's face, followed by the senton and then a tsunami that Bronson gave Otis. So Bronson wins the match there off of the Gable distraction. Gable's outside mad. He's blaming everything on Otis. He's blaming everything. He's blaming the Alpha Academy. He's blaming the fans. Gable gets on the mic once again, demeaning Alpha Academy, demanding Otis to get back in the ring and demanding a meeting with everyone, including Tozawa and Maxine. Gable says that Otis lacks discipline. Gable takes out, and then we see Gable take out his belt. I'm like, oh shoot, and demanding Otis to get on the rope. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Maxine got over huge when she stopped Gable from about to whip Otis. Then we see Gable kick out Maxine and basically kick out Tozawa. Otis is torn by the back and forth going on between Gable and Sammy, because we see Sammy come out kind of to the save to put a stop to all this. And then Gable unloads on Sammy. And Otis is totally torn. Like, he didn't break it up or anything. He was torn on what to do. So we had, kind of like a dual layer storytelling here. One between Sammy and Gable, that storyline continuing, but then the other storyline going on is with Otis here, being conflicted about everything that Gable's demanding Otis to do, so pretty good story here. This was a good segment. It was at a very good segment for 10 o'clock hour. What did you think of this segment before we move on?
We haven't seen the belt whip in years. I mean, I remember like crazy SmackDown moments where people took out their belt, but that was 15 years ago for me. So to see a belt takeout ready to whip somebody, I personally, I don't think I've seen that in a while. So that was definitely strange to see a comeback of the belt whip ready to be used. Sammy coming out makes sense. Otis still being conflicted makes sense. I'm waiting for the turn. I'm waiting for Otis to listen to the crowd, but Otis effectively lost because of Chad Gable tonight. And as that happens more, I think that the turn is inevitable. You already see Maxine now not listening. Tozawa wasn't there for Chad. So now it's time for Otis to be the one to really attack Chad. I just don't know when, but I hope soon. Because
do you think they drag it out for a SummerSlam match? Because we're in June this Saturday, and then there's only about 8 weeks left. Can they drag this out for another, let's just say, 6 weeks, and then Otis attacks Gable maybe 2 weeks before SummerSlam? We get a SummerSlam match between Gable and Otis.
I think we see not. There's nothing after Clash of the Castle, right? It goes from Clash right to SummerSlam, or am I missing something?
Well, here's the thing. We got Money in the Bank, too. So they could tell the story of Gable competing in Money in the Bank, and Otis doesn't help him or something like that. So it's just another opportunity where Gable loses and he blames Otis again. Because maybe they could extend that story into there. But yeah, we're at Clash of the Castle less than 3 weeks from now, and then 3 weeks after that, first weekend of July, is Money in the Bank.
Right. So I 100% now that we just came up with that, there's definitely a way, like you said, that can happen. And then, like you said, the week after, maybe 2 weeks after Money in the Bank, you see that Chad lost because of Otis and there's something wrong, but can they push that for another 6 weeks? That's the real question. Can they push this story for now 5 more weeks until Money in the Bank and then have it after? I think they could. I think that they could do it, but the slaps to Otis, that's what's getting to me. I'm surprised that this man has already taken, I think, 3 or 4 slaps to the face now from Chad Gable and hasn't reacted, and then clotheslined him, but on accident.
Yeah, I mean, we might see a little bit more of like a discipline angle, and then at some point maybe Otis snaps.
Yeah,
I feel like that's coming. I mean, or they could just finally go out and Otis turns full blown heel. That would be interesting swerve.
Yeah.
But the trajectory right now is that Otis is gonna turn on Gable. That looks like the trajectory to me. Otis turns on Gable, then we get the one-on-one match at some point, which in my opinion would probably be SummerSlam.
I think that's the smartest move. I think give the people what they want has always been my look on WWE, and they're getting a lot better at that versus when Vince was there. So now I think you hear the chance for Otis. I think it makes sense to go to him staying as a face and be a t-shirt seller again, be a winner, be a solo competitor that he's never really had the chance to be.
Otis is over right now, so I
He
think
is.
you have to stick with the route. He's more over than he's ever been. I think you have to stick with the route of Otis eventually snapping and then getting that one-on-one with Gable.
Mm-hmm.
And even if like Otis loses the feud to Gable, like Otis will definitely put over Gable for sure, make him look more credible, so Gable can get to that next step.
What was
for
that
a
gentleman
singles
that he
title.
was with before this?
Jason Jordan?
No, that was Chad Gable.
Chad Gable, yeah.
Who was Otis with?
It's
Tucker. There you go, Otis
Yeah.
and Tucker. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
saying like Tucker got cut from the WWE. I think we saw.
I would not mind Tucker coming back.
That wouldn't be a bad idea, but I guess he would have to come back as a heel, no question. He was an okay wrestler as well. He had a lot of size to him. I was just saying more that Otis was with Tucker, and then I forget if they both got cut. I think they brought Otis back for a little bit, and then he got right with Chad Gable. So we haven't seen Otis as a solo guy yet. So I want to see what he can do in the ring by himself.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him with some singles matches, but like as a singles run, we have not seen that yet. That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the way we are going to close out tonight's show is our lightning rounds. So these questions will, each question and answer will feature less than 1 minute, so we can post these on our shorts later on. But we have 3 questions for everybody and for you, Brandon, tonight. So we are going to start with this right at the 52 minute and 40-second match. Here is our first question. So, with the King of the Ring winners and the Queen of the Ring winners established between Nia Jax, Queen of the Ring, and Gunther, King of the Ring, who is the most likely to win the title at SummerSlam?
I think Nia Jax pulls it off. I mean, they've been showing, like you said before, she's safer in the ring. She's dominant in the ring. Nobody can really take her down. Now moving to SmackDown gives her a little bit more credibility and chances to take on new people and just show exactly how dominant she is. So over the next 2 months, put her up against people that question her, have her beat the crap out of them, and then go on to SummerSlam, win the belts, and just have a tear for the next year till WrestleMania.
Speaking of WrestleMania, our next question. With the announcement of WrestleMania going to Las Vegas, rumors of Nashville WrestleMania 43, which city do you think will benefit from WrestleMania 42? Keep in mind, the rumors of WrestleMania 42 are London, Miami, and Atlanta. But which city do you think could benefit most from WWE WrestleMania for 42?
We just saw a little bit of Georgia tonight, and I was iffy about them. So tonight didn't really prove too much to me. And I think we already saw that London can pack it out with 80,000 for AEW. So I think benefit-wise would possibly be London again. They could definitely do 2 nights there and have the biggest crowd imaginable over a 2-night spread. So I would say beneficial for WWE is probably London as well. I would say city-wise, if they have to keep it in the U.S., probably somewhere in Texas. Or are there any domes of good football teams? No, I would say somewhere in Texas or Nashville, like we've been speaking about. I think Tennessee. I think that they would need a repush. Maybe they'll be halfway better at football at that time. So I would say
Nashville's getting 43.
Oh, right.
They're the leading city for WrestleMania 43.
Okay.
The leading rumored city. Not to mention you have Saudi pushing WWE to add more to their current deal, the 10-year deal. WWE going to Saudi for the next, still about another 5 or 6 more years on that. But WWE, Saudi is pushing WWE to get a big event. I'm not going to go to Saudi Arabia if WrestleMania goes there, but Saudi's pushing for a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania between 2026 and 2027.
SummerSlam would make sense.
I would think so. I don't think it's going to be WrestleMania because I believe WrestleMania is kind of fairly set for 43 in 2027. SummerSlam could make sense for sure. Maybe SummerSlam goes to Saudi Arabia 2025, so we keep an eye out on that. But by any means, I do not want to see a WrestleMania go to Saudi Arabia.
They could do a Royal Rumble out there. I think that would be really cool.
Excuse me. I stand corrected. The rumor was a big event of a Royal Rumble or a WrestleMania. I don't know why I said SummerSlam, but Royal Rumble. So it was the talks were Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, not SummerSlam. My bad. But that could still happen, though. I mean, there's no destination apparently set for 2025 yet, so they could go to Saudi for that. Kind of toss them a bone. But by any means, I don't want to see WrestleMania go to Saudi Arabia. I don't want it. I don't want it. I'm not happy that WWE is going there to begin with every year, but whatever. One quick question. What does Lyra Valkyria need to do to move up in the WWE?
Keep winning matches. I mean, I hate to say that that's what everybody could do. There's obviously, Dolph Ziggler was in the WWE for 20 years, and he had probably sub 30% winning percentage for a while. Miz is one of the highest guys, and he's lost the most matches in WWE. So I hate to say win matches, but she's enjoyable in the ring as a winner, as somebody that you can clearly see people want to get behind. So if she's a winner, people are going to get behind her. And we've seen even lately, LA Knight is a 50-50 guy, maybe 60-40, but he has the crowd behind him. The crowd wants to support him. So biggest thing, feed into the crowd. See, like you said before, why am I supposed to like this person? Maybe just because everybody else likes him. I didn't know why I liked LA Knight. He just started saying yeah, and all of a sudden everybody liked him, and I said, why not? So the crowd work is going to be huge for her. The crowd's behind you. Feed into it, and the rest will come.
Awesome. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for our show tonight. For those of you guys that hopped on, we had some viewers tonight. Thank you so much for hopping on and joining us. Please feel free to share this video. Give us a like. Those of you guys that are watching, we will be on with a Raw post show 2 weeks from now, every other week. And who knows, maybe me and one of the co-hosts, we sneak on for an AEW review. We haven't done one of those in a while. But we'll keep you guys posted on that. Those of you guys that are watching, thank you so much. Brandon, thank you so much for hopping on tonight. And you guys all have a good night.
Agility from the champion.